Hello, welcome back to a Fallout 76 discussion. It looks like the changes to the way armor works have basically broken armor. Literally. Since the start of the season, your armor now breaks like it's made of paper mache. I've done a bit of testing and basically my recommendation is that you should avoid any explosive weapons. Unless you can make absolutely sure that you're not in range of the explosion. It sounds harsh, but it's really that bad. The new season is supposed to have reduced the damage you take from your own weapons. In the PTS I tried to damage myself with a flaming bow, but the damage over time was basically tiny, so it looked like it was working. But in the live server, it looks like explosions either were not reduced or there's a bug in the reduction. I suspect that this is because technically explosions are not from anyone, so it's likely that their reduction didn't apply to them. That's speculation of course, but given that explosions do not get reflected back to the origin, like for example against the Centrobot, I think this is very likely. I suspect that this will not be easy to fix, so it may be best to avoid explosive weapons. It also looks like armor overall is more fragile than it used to be. I stood around and let the super mutants kill themselves to test armor durability. Yes, I'm using an Aristocrat Sentinel set, and I'm at 40,000 caps. I fixed it all so we can compare durability before and after. Scattershot and Easy Target both affect the reflected damage, so enemies basically cripple themselves. Some people thought that the glow was somehow affecting the damage I was taking in my PTS video, but it's pretty clear that any single enemy only does a few percent damage. This is with 540 something hit points, so a few percent is pretty decent to be fair. And you can also heal if you hold a vampiric weapon. The reflection procs the vampiric property, so you heal 2% every 2 seconds. Not sure what this guy's about though. You talking to me? You talking to me? Cause I don't see anyone else here. Bonus points to anyone who knows that line. Unless you get mobbed by a lot of enemies, you can pretty much tank most enemies. But after all that, how much damage did my armor take? Durability did drop by a fair portion, I have to say. This may be the result of your armor now being counted first against any damage you take. So my armor takes the full damage before Aristocrats kicks in. I suspect that this change makes your armor take a lot more damage than before. But whatever the reason, your armor is now more fragile. I'll fix it back to 100 so we can compare. This was probably playing a part in why your explosions are so deadly. Let me pull out my Furious Explosive Dom Pedro. It's fully upgraded, so this is pretty powerful. I'll equip Reverse Onslaught, Demolitioners, and Grenadiers to maximize how much I'm going to hurt myself. And of course, I'll shoot myself in the foot. The damage itself is not that bad, so it looks like some damage reduction is happening. But look at my armor. Most parts are okay, but this leg piece is basically broken. That single shot did more damage to my armor than a bunch of super mutants. Let's do a second shot. Yep, the leg broke. Again, we took some limb damage, mostly on one leg, but it's also spread out. But it looks like all the damage to your armor gets focused on a single piece, so that's 2 shots to completely break your leg armor. Let's try that with a Tesla cannon. Basically no limb or armor damage. So at least this weapon is safe to use. So let's try another explosive weapon. I'm a ghoul, so I'll take more damage. This time 2 pieces got smashed, even worse than with the Dom Pedro, but limb damage was actually smaller. The Kabloom is explosive, so let's see what it does. Before the update the poison would have damaged me, but that's gone now. So that's some good news for bow users that used to kill themselves. We did take some limb damage, but that's from multiple shots. And the armor, a very small amount. This is probably due to the damage being split across 8 pellets. Grenades also do no damage to you, but they damage your armor by a noticeable amount. It might be the case that grenades count as being from you, so their damage is being reduced. But I don't know, and they do cause your armor to degrade by quite a bit. Not as much as explosive weapons, but it is noticeable. What about a 2-shot grenade launcher? The damage is pretty big actually. But the worst is that 2 armor pieces broke from that single shot. Limb damage is pretty strong, but it's about what we took from multiple shots from the kabloom. So when it comes to your armor breaking, it's the amount of damage in each explosion that matters. So any high damage explosive weapon will cause your armor to break after 1 or 2 shots. But I also noticed that I took a lot of limb damage from the kabloom. The number of explosions seems to affect how much limb damage you take. Okay, let's pull out a 2-shot explosive Gatling laser. Damage is nothing, but yeah, broken and damaged limbs everywhere. One of the armor pieces took some damage, but nothing compared to what we saw before. This was confirmed when I did a raid with a Gauss minigun and mistakenly got myself in the explosion radius. It looks like your limbs are damaged by the number of times they get hit, instead of how much damage you take. So fast firing explosive weapons are going to cripple you. Basically that's another reason to drop the Gauss minigun and go back to the Elder's Mark. But after doing these tests I had a thought. I know, dangerous stuff, eh? But I wondered, does this also work with enemies? So back to West we go. I'll use my 2-shot explosive Gatling laser, and I'll try and only use the splash damage. We want to see if their legs will cripple just like ours did. You can definitely see a lot of damage to the legs. Eventually they do end up crippled, but by that point they're basically dead anyway, so you don't get much of an advantage. Super Mutant champions are the most powerful normal enemies, but it does look like less powerful mutants are easier to cripple. So let's test on something like a ghoul. This one does go down pretty quick from the limb damage, so it is possible to use this glitch in your favor. And as it happens, Radiation Rumble popped up as I was testing. Back in Fallout 4, having an explosive weapon was amazing against anything melee, because you could go for the legs and take them out well before they could get to you. Of course you could easily kill yourself too, but that's already the case with the new update, so it would be great if we could also benefit from this. It does look like the ghouls get crippled faster than they get killed. You can see a fair few just lying down, doing that dumb looking around thing they do when they have no legs. The Snallygastas also get crippled, so explosive weapons look like they're good for low to medium power enemies. And the same goes for these Rat Scorpions. I am using a Furious Explosive Dragon, so the damage is pretty powerful, but you can see that they take more limb damage than health damage. From this testing you can see that there is a benefit. The problem is that it's just as easy to kill enemies as it is to cripple them. And sadly, the more powerful an enemy is, the more difficult it seems to cripple them with explosions. So I can cripple this Deathclaw, but I can't cripple this Ogua. That might be because the Ogua is a mini-boss, but why can't I cripple this Rust Raider? I'm pretty sure that an armored Deathclaw is more powerful than a Rust Raider, power armor or not. So it's clear that the game fiddles with limb damage, but using explosions to cripple enemies is definitely a thing you can take advantage of. It's not as good as it was in Fallout 4, where that explosive SMG was the king of breaking legs, but it's still something you can use. Overall, I would recommend you avoid all explosive weapons if there's any chance of hitting yourself. You're very likely to either cripple yourself or destroy your armor. This may be a side result of armor just being easier to destroy with the new update. As you can see, this guy is just obliterating my armor, but right now it's not worth using explosive weapons.